Many brands are focused on very specific geographies, and oftentimes those aren't the mega hubs, New York, LA, Paris, the big cities we all know and love. While they're great markets for consumer brands, there's the rest of the world out there too. And so one of the more common questions I get is, how do I find creators who can target a very specific niche city? So here's what we're going to be covering in this video, from order of what we recommend the most to what you might only consider in the worst case scenario. But if one of these looks more interesting to you, then feel free to use the little time slider thingy-majiggy to find the one that's most interesting for you. First on our list of methods, the best, the cream of the crop, the way the pros do it, the way the best of the best handle finding local influencers anywhere in the world is using an influencer search tool like Modash, for example. Modash lists every creator in the world on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. First things first, once you log into Modash, you're going to choose the platform you want. For the sake of this video, we're going to be focused on Instagram. Right away, you can specify the influencer's location or the audience demographic location. I suggest for your first search, you just pick one of those. For example, let's say I'm in New York, but I'm opening a store in Brighton, England. I'm not super familiar with the local territory, so I don't know which creators are relevant in the area. We can just pop Brighton into the location filter and voila, easy as that. Now we've got a list of influencers in Brighton. Of course, we can add other filters, so follower range, engagement rate, whatever matters to us. We can add those filters to narrow down the search results even further. Find the perfect creator to promote our new store. Now, because this is a retail location and we need the audience to actually be located in Brighton, we can also use this influencer audience location. So we can just add Brighton in here once again. And we have a list of 1,000 creators, and we can filter down further, like I mentioned before. The great thing about using a tool like Modash is that after you've found the influencers, you can also vet their performance. You can see how many fake followers they have. You can see where their audience demographics lie. You can figure out how well they're going to perform for your campaign. It's super important when you're scaling a influencer partnerships program that you keep things efficient and run a tight ship. The second way to find creators in the city you care about is to go to the platform itself and use hashtags related to that area to find creators who are posting in that region. You can really quickly find ideas for which hashtags to use by just typing the location, the name of the city, into the search bar. It's going to recommend a bunch of related hashtags. Here I'm on Instagram searching for Brighton, and I also find hashtag Brighton and Hove, hashtag Brighton Life. These are all very local hashtags that people in the region are using. We can be very specific, and we can drill down to smaller locales rather than using the whole city. So if you're a food business looking for local influencers in Brighton, you can find hashtags like Brighton Food, for example. Once you know a few local influencers, you can visit their profiles, review their top content, and see which hashtags they're using. A lot of times, they're going to be using many of them that are related to their local territory. Then follow that rabbit hole, click on the hashtag, review the people who are posting there, and you can identify some folks who might be a fit for your new Brighton store. Transitioning from hashtag search, there's a third way that we can find creators in local territories, and that's to analyze hyper-local brands in that area and see who they've been partnered with, and we can even get inspiration about creative and other things that works in that area. So for example, if you find some popular restaurants in Brighton, it's going to be really easy to see which people are tagging that restaurant in Brighton and driving lots of engagement. This will give you a good sense of who's in the area. Just a little tiny quick shout to Modash. We also have this tool called Lookalike. So you stick a username into the search bar here, and it's going to quickly show you people that are very similar. So this can cut your research time in half if you find super location-specific accounts. So for example, City of Brighton or something like that. Fourth way to find creators in a specific city or reaching audiences in that city is to ask for recommendations from the who's who. Once you've worked with a few creators using our other methods, then you can just ask them, who else do they know in the region? Who do they think is really great at reaching audiences in that territory? Now, of course, there's no guarantee that these recommendations are fantastic, and it's hard to verify all the time exactly where the audience is or whether that person is going to perform super well, but it is a way to quickly source more from creators you've already reached out to. The fifth way, and perhaps the most top secret tool I like to call Google. But just in case you've already tried this, there's a good way to do it. Basically, you want to type in the industry that you're looking for and the city. So for example, food influencers in Seattle. You're going to get hundreds of search results. Some of them will be articles with lists of the best creators. Some of them will be for example, Modash's list that includes some audience demographic data and so on. Try to be as niche and specific as possible. If you're a makeup company, then try looking for skincare influencers in Chicago or acne influencers in New York. You'd be surprised at the way people have categorized these creators, and so you might find a quick short list of folks in those hyper-specific niches. Don't only look at the default search results though, click over to videos, see if any creators' content has surfaced in the videos tab. This can be a really quick way to find folks as well. But of course, watch out when you look at these listicles, when you look at Google search results, you're only going to find the biggest of the big, and frankly, it doesn't guarantee the quality. It just means that whoever wrote the article knew about this person. Now, the sixth way, if your budget allows, and it's not super important to you to keep this function in-house, is to hire an influencer marketing agency. Now, this can be a great help in finding local influencers, but they're also going to support the rest of your campaign, which can be very useful, but it's very expensive. The other upside is that they probably have lots of existing relationships with local creators. That might speed up your outreach and your time to actually get content published. I can only really recommend this method if you're a much larger brand with a big budget who isn't as focused on kind of ROI driven influencer marketing, and you're really focused on brand and brand awareness. Then agencies can be a good way to kind of quickly ramp up and get lots of creators out for a single activation. There you go. That's your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ways to find local influencers. I really recommend that you go with an influencer search tool like Modash. Of course, I'm a little biased, but it is the way that the best of the best are doing it. So thanks for tuning in. Catch you in the next video. Hasta la vista, baby.